these guys are all pissed off, you're back here.
Shit, I got it.
Nice.
As I said, I wanted them in a straight line, and Michael's like, no, you don't. So 1, 2, 3. So you're always coming backwards.
Is there any reason other than just more honey production to have more than one?
Well, you always, every beekeeper I've ever talked to said when you start keeping bees, have at least 2.
Okay.
So you can monitor both hives, because you don't know what good is, but you know what different is. And if they're behaving differently, you know one of them's got something wrong with them.
But one of these is going to be empty all the time, right? So
All three run all the time.
all three run at the same time?
Yeah.
He was saying basically so that if one picks up a little bit of something, you can almost basically pick up one of the top boxes, pick up another top box, and swap them. Because they're all the same insect. They all come from the same original parent by the time they're done with it. So you can swap out freely as much as you want.
Well, if you
one,
want
they'll
to
adapt to the
completely
new queen
change
completely?
your hive, you pull the queen out and kill her,
Right.
and you don't let them make a new queen, and you re-queen with a new queen,
Yeah.
and within like 6 weeks,
The new hive.
it's a completely new hive. Everybody else is dead.
Right. If one's weak and one's strong, you swap the weaks into the strong, you swap the strong into the weaks, and you even it out. And, as Mike was saying, when you inevitably lose one, you still have two.
Yeah, that's how you
You
become
split one back
sustainable.
over, and you're back
That's
to
what I was wondering was why, is there any reason to specifically have 3? Or if it's
Yeah, the theory from everything that I've done, and in entomology, you're always going to have one that's super strong, one that's super weak, and one that makes it but does nothing. And the object, sometimes you automatically get that crappy one. So if you got that crappy one and it's the only one you got, it died.
Right.
So if you have the 3, the object is like, if you have one beehive that's making 100 pounds of honey, one beehive that makes no honey, and one that's almost dead, the object's to make them all make 50 pounds of honey. You don't need one to make 100, you want to make 50 for 150.
Right.
So it made you 50% more by moving the brood, making strongers, and dropping this one so it doesn't swarm. Drop this one so it doesn't swarm, make these stronger. Drop this one and eventually this one will never swarm, and these will eventually you'll never have to add anymore because they're just going to start working that way. And it's because you're going to start pinching your queens if you're going to do that. Or when you know they're going to start to swarm, I might as well go ahead and make some boxes and make a profit.
Make
Sell,
another, yeah,
or sell
sell packages.
Yeah, I might. You've got 3. You can split them twice.
Yeah.
2, 4, 6 at $100 a pop. That's $600.
$600.
So when you say swarm, what does that mean,
A
swarm?
swarm is when the queen in the hive is no longer accepted by the hive and they mutiny. She's either out of semen to make more larvae, or she's gotten sick and the bees have called themselves a revolution. And what they've done is they've kind of pushed her to one side of the hive. They really clean it really hard so she thinks she's working still. And they go to the other side of the hive and they'll start making these peanuts. And those will be new queens. And what happens when the new queen comes out, they really feed her and shelter her, and then they say, this is where the old queen is, and they confront each other. And due to the fact she's backed by the new bees, they push out the old queen, and the old bees leave with the old queen, usually taking 50% of the hive population with them. So what that means is now you just decrease that hive with the new bees, and you have a queen that's not going to lay anymore and that's sick that just took the other half. So there's 2 things that you can either do. You can either kill that old queen and marry those bees back in that hive and make them strong, or before that happens, split that hive and make more queens and manipulate them. Like
End up with 2 hives.
Yeah.
Or end up with a package to sell to somebody else.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or like I said,
Which is probably what I would do.
Or just keep killing the queens
I
and
just
stuff that
can't
come
see
out and just keep
myself
the bees
ending up with like 12
rotating
hives
in.
on this. I don't. What am I going to get per year in honey? Probably.
400 pounds.
Yeah. That's
Wow.
You're good.
I'm done.
But
I'm
that's
giving
good.
honey
But
away.
that's going to be happening in 2 years. This year you'll probably get about 60 pounds.
Okay.
You'll probably get a 5-gallon pill full
60
of honey.
pounds.
That is
I
a
use
lot.
about 14 to 18 pounds per batch of meat.
So you get 5.
5 batches of meat the first year. I'm
That's
happy as
usually
shit.
what it is. Next year, due to the fact they're established, and you're
Yeah.
going to switch the boxes and
Yeah.
get them to work back up,
Yeah.
you're going to have honey production starting now.
Yeah.
So you're going to have honey production now all the way until November. So you might get your 100 per hive to 200 per hive, 2, 4, 6, 600 pounds.
So 300 to 600 pounds next year. That's more meat than I can drink. That's more honey than I can eat. I'll be throwing honey on a barter blanket.
Especially,
Yeah.
especially
can do every 2 weeks a handful of buckwheat.
Okay, now remember, the food that you put around the bees
They don't
area.
want it?
No. Here's what happens is the bees are going to come out and they're going to poop.
Okay.
Right. So anything within 7 feet of that beehive,
Yeah.
they're coming out and they're going to poop.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't eat it.
Okay.
They can have it. You can chop and mulch and have the chickens eat it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let you know you're not going to be able to pick all the poop off of anything that you have here.
Well, buckwheat's for them.
Okay. So if you grow the
Buckwheat's just for them.
and this, it'll grow this tall.
Yeah.
When I tell people a beehive measure 10 feet of wheat from the beehive, go 5 foot, 10 foot, and you like till an area,
Yeah.
and that's where you plant the three sister
Yeah.
variety. But
Yeah.
my three sister variety is sunflowers,
Yeah.
morning glories for the vine,
Yeah.
and then I use a Russian sage
Yeah.
and clover. Right. So
Yeah.
what happens is the clover pops with the dandelions, the Russian sage goes, and as the sunflowers grow, all of a sudden you got this waving weave of morning
That's
glories
awesome.
like this.
We'll
And
have to plant 'em a garden like
and
that.
I got a windbreak right here.
Yeah, we'll have
so
to
it
do
hits
that.
that, but it's also the food forest. By the time the end of the year, your sunflowers are this tall,
Yeah.
you have something to feed them that's that big at the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
So then when you're chopping down your sunflowers, make rocket fuel
Yeah.
because they're like little logs.
Yeah. They're great.
Right, so then you have that
can do
morning
that
glories
for-
make the vine, so it makes a wall between all those sunflowers, man. And that way you have a windbreak, a food forest, and all
We
that
could do
stuff.
that out here,
Mhm.
and then we could do a couple patches of buckwheat. Because with the buckwheat, if I had 3 patches of buckwheat, I could sow each patch every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
At 6 weeks, it's in full flower. Every 2 weeks, there's another batch in full flower.
I'll tell you-
And by the time the first one that was in full flower is gone, it's already back and recultivated. And every time you get to the top, you cut that shit, and it's either straw mulch into there, buckwheat straw, or you give it to the birds. Or you just bring the birds over and let them have it.
Let the birds have it, right?
Yeah.
The one thing about buckwheat is going to be some of the better honey that you're going to get.
We'll have a blended honey.
I mean, well,
because-
that's what I tell my co-op people is that
Yeah.
if you've got alfalfa and he's got clover and I've got a little wild honey, we just kind of mix it all together, and then when the local people come to buy it, boy, they get a mass variety of different pollens for their allergies instead of
Yeah.
the one thing, right? So that's always good to mix all your honey. But the buckwheat will turn really fast, and they will make lots of honey from it. Because just what you said,
Yeah.
as soon as it flowers,
They're all over.
they're all over it because it's a union job.
Yeah.
Today we're working at the school. Tomorrow we're working at,
Yeah.
that's just how they
At the
work.
docks, and
Yeah,
then we're gonna
that's how
work
they
at
work.
the wet rec center,
And as you look at your beehive, you'll notice that you'll see like as
different
the day,
colors of honey.
as it goes through.
Yeah,
Ah,
I've seen that before already.
Okay.
Yeah. You get like wildflower honey early in the year, it's really dark, and then they start hitting like the trees, and it
Yeah, and it'll
lights
get
up
lighter, and then at the end of the year, it's going to be black.
black, because they're taking whatever's left.
That's what's ever left, whatever nectar flow they can get.
You know what? I like that honey though.
So
That
do I.
dark ass
It's really,
honey.
and it's really good for cooking
Yeah.
because I dehydrate it down and it makes really brown sugar. Here's the other brown sugar.
All along this fence, I'm gonna do black locust.
But Chantel, you're right. If he plants buckwheat everywhere, he'll have honey constantly.
Yeah.
You think in this area that each hive should get at least 100 pounds of honey flow?
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
300 pounds
Cut it a little bit.
to a maximum of 600 pounds for
That's
3 hives. I
all I
think
need.
he'll do just fine.
That's all.
And like I said, these are Langstroths, so they're honey producers.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to put a top bar and a top bar on each side, and then you have your wax production. That's how you wax your bowstrings.
Maybe that's next year.
That's lip balm products,
Well,
shoe
because
polish,
next year
floor
we
polish.
could do earlier in the year, full-on workshop where you teach it how to build everything, and then I won't have students go, but I won't be able to get bees after I build my beehive, so I don't want to do it. Okay.
That's changing. That's changing. I'm introducing a guy. He's coming Saturday for you, and I'm going to represent him. He's going to get my seal, and he's going to be right here 20 minutes for you. He's going to start selling packaged nukes
Oh, awesome.
on like I said, my seal of how we do it,
Yeah.
or he can't
So
do it.
then we could do, you come to the workshop, Michael Jordan teaches you to be a badass bee guy, and you leave
With a nuke.
with a
Yeah,
nuke.
that'd be great.
With a nuke.
People would love that.
Right, and then you can leave with a nuke. And I told him, I said the
You're
max.
like 80 hives right now or something.
Yeah, but I told him, I said if you go up to 1,000 hives, you have
Yeah. You can't.
well, you can't, but it's against my morals and ethics of my company. My company.
That's a touchy situation.
Sorry, I'm not into the
1,000 nukes or 1,000 hives is a shitload of hives. I mean,
not in your area.
No, really?
Shit, no, man. No.
How many hives do you run?
Well, right now I do 200. I have 125 that I operate right now, and I have 25 of them in my back.
If
in that
someone's-
eighth acre in the backyard in the city.
If someone's just doing honey,
Mhm.
how many hives do they need to run selling honey to make an income?
50.
So,
That's
all
what,
of you that want to know what your role at Perma Ethos is,
that's
because we're going to be putting them everywhere.
well, that's what I told Josiah. I said, you want to get your money flow right now? Let's put the beehives out there.
Yeah.
Because what happens is we can start getting honey. You can start teaching classes, and just like you want to do your permaculture seed,
Yeah,
let's do permaculture nukes.
and permaculture honey,
Right.
and permaculture
Well,
wax.
if you got permaculture nukes, right, it's like a seed company.
Yeah.
Basically, I know I'm getting a system of bees that are good.
Yes.
And I told Josiah, I said, if we get it really rolling good, I said, then we'll start teaching you how to make the
See,
bees small,
I think
so you don't have mites, you don't have to
I
use
think you
Epistan
need
and all
to
that
be
stuff.
on the Perma Ethos Advisory Committee. No, I do. With Jeff, with Ben. You need to be part so we've got Greg Judy said yes to it. Jeff Lawton said yes to it. Ben Falk has said yes to being on the advisory committee. I think you need to be on that committee with it. Because none of those people know jack diddly fuck all about bees. Ben's got one hive. He's never done shit with it. He won't even get mad if you put that video online. It sits in one spot. He doesn't touch it. A guy comes once a year and extracts honey for him. That's it. And it just sits there. There's nothing wrong with that, but he's obviously not going to advise us how to produce honey for profit.
No, like I
And
said,
he's got, by the way, he
Langston,
has, Ben Falk has some neat ass bees. Like when you get like
10 feet.
right to here, they start because no one ever works for profit.
Well, not only that, there's probably, he's got predators. He's probably got stuff outside.
Bears.
See, so they
Raccoons.
see, and that's what I told people. I said, it's not the aggressive bee that makes honey. The aggressive bee has a prize.
Yeah.
When you're out in the wild and you don't have anything to protect you, you got to protect that prize, right? So we're
Yeah.
a little mean. In the city, I have bees of right kinds and Carlonians. I do a strike law. That's what Jason does.
Yeah.
Right? 3 strikes and the beehive's out. That if I walk out there and we're working it and it's really aggressive, you get a red thumb tag, man. 2 weeks later, if I come back and you're aggressive, you get another red thumb tag. If I come back and you're toned down, it might be a good honey flow, maybe not a wind. I don't know, not on the rag. I don't know. Right? The bees are just that way. They
Yeah.
get a green tag.
Yeah.
But in that 8-month time period, if you
they get three red tags, Queen's got to go.
killing the queen, I'm splitting the hive. I'm either marrying them or I'm making new bees because they're too aggressive for the
Yeah.
area that they're in.
Yeah.
And I don't want them around the kids that I teach for 4-H. I don't want
Yeah.
them around my own kids. And I don't want the neighborhood
But
to
you
call
still
and
want
say,
them to be mean when your son goes, dum, 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 dum.
well, they know my son. They're his attack bees. He's the garbage man out of the yard every time. So,
Hey, Michael, do you ever sell queens?
have I sold queens?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've sold queens before. It's hard to get a breeding farm going because you have to have a big space to put the drone packages.
the drones.
So you have to have that 8-foot like silo, so at least the queen can get off the ground so the drones can enter, right? Because I don't like insemination. I've done insemination too. I did that with turkey where you flip the bees over.
Yeah.
You put the bees in the
Oh, yeah.
formaldehyde,
I know.
and
That's
it makes them
actually a good
unconscious,
deal.
and then
That's the best
you
match.
eject them.
Yeah.
I've done that. I'm not big into
That
that.
is not
Those
a
queens don't do as well.
That's
No,
designed
they're
to
sick.
that's Michelob.
Yeah,
Because they pump them,
It's
right?
designed to look like
Instead of
one.
having maybe like 20
It's probably
drones,
the best
they're pumping with like 30.
big beer
So
cask
they're really
beer
full.
I've ever drank.
It takes a long time, about another extra year before they're actually where they can move on the frames and actually
It's not
really
like-
dump out
Yeah.
some stuff. Yeah, but
what's
I've
it
sold
on?
queens. I think your best way is to learn to queen yourself. You need to learn how to do a miller queening, and you need to learn
like
to do
Netflix or
little
something?
splitting
Okay.
if you want to be sustainable. Because if you're always buying bees, you're not sustainable. And if you're not building and making them grow to manipulate them, you're never going to be stable. You're going to be buying packages, you're going to be doing all kinds of things. But if you get a co-op going where you got a couple buddies and his hives are doing good, bring some of your brood over, man. Let me switch out some brood. Let me see if I can get some crap going out of mine. It's my crap. Right? If you have a guy that you can work with like that, it works really good. And if you got a group of guys and you guys start doing frost freezing brood, where you get like a freezer chest, you turn the temperature to 47 degrees. You can put the brood, cat brood in it, and then 3 months later pull it out and put it in the hives and they burst out. Right? And that's your flash freezing.
That's
I think that's always awesome because if you're doing that, you can like pull those out. Like, I know Clover's really gonna hit right now. I just pull out that brood and all of a sudden I went from a 10,000 beehive, those brood top, and I went to 80,000 within a day. So I like doing that kind of stuff too.
Some people.
But queenings, I think you have to learn to do self-queening. I always Miller queen. I'm not a grafter. I've grafted queens. I've done queens.
Mine's that little miniature one.
What's your success rate? You get 70%.
You're there.
That's good. That's right. Mine's 60. I'll be honest. I get 60% take.
It's scratchy, bro. If I have to sleep
Right,
for
but I don't have
5
the
minutes,
time.
I
You got to get them in the 2-day cycle to get them
That's
strapped. The natural rearing of the queens from the Miller splits is just I don't have to watch it.
I would add it to something, and then someone would be like, I'll take everything else. What's the
I think there's a lot more money in queen ring if you know what you're doing. If you can get a good genetic line where you're pulling some different stuff. Yeah, where you've got a good genetic line. I think the next big package bee business is going to be the guys that are going to come out with the 4.7 millimeter bees. There's only a couple. It takes you 2 years to adjust them down. But as soon as someone's going to get nukes of those little bees, you just put Bear Corporation out of business, right? Because they're the ones that make Epistan and terramycin and all that. If you got the little cells, you don't need that, right? Because the mites don't get in them. And I think that, you know, as soon as somebody really wants to get gung ho and start doing that, it takes time though, right? Like I said, it takes 2 years. When I learned it, it took me 2 years to 5.7. 2 months later, you put the 5.5, right? By the end of the year, it's only down to 5. Right? Because it takes so long to rotate out those bees and those brains to do that. So 2 years, you can get them down to maybe 1.7. That's a good bee, man. That's a little bitty bee. And I really, I understand the bigger bees make more honey, because they call more. But when it comes to making a colony stable, if you've got 10 buddies, it's way better than 6 buddies. Because in a 2-inch frame, or like 2 inches, you can get 10 cells of drones. Of worker bees that are 5.5. Now if you go the 4.7, I get 2 extra bees in there, so I get more family. More warmth, right, in the winter. More work to clean the hive. I got 2 extra people instead of one big guy.
That's the natural size.
That's their natural size. In 1874 is when Al Root started making the bees big. Because 1826 is when Langstreth made the splitter box and the frame, and Al Root took them and made the bees bigger, thinking for bigger pollination hall. And that's when that started, and that's when we screwed that all up right there. And then it took since 1888 is when they really started moving them out of Virginia and around throughout the United States. And that's when we screwed up, right? Because now you got them all over, the bees are too big, and they can't fight the mites. And now, we got 100 years later, now you have your problem. You got too many mites, you got wax moth, because the things are too big. And we do a really cool thing, we spin the honey, so centrifugally it makes the comb bigger and bigger and bigger every time, and people don't remove it. So eventually that's how you...
How do you control what drones and what you make? When you say you rear queens, how do you
unless I'm doing fly boxes, right, the 8-foot silo, right, then I'm pulling out, like, if I have a Russian line of bees, right, I put drone traps in certain hives, and then I move those drones, usually 10 drones per, what they call a drone box. You put a drone box, and it has this big silo, and the queen bees you let loose in that silo.
They mate in the air.
And they mate in the air.
My understanding was they had to be hauling ass